Hi, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to another edition of Fridays with Sandy. That would be Sandy Kreisberg, who is in Boston today. Hi,
Hi,
Sandy.
everybody. Sandy here. We
Sandy,
have
of
a
course, is
special
the
show today.
HBS guru.
Yes.
And we have in Washington a really interesting candidate. We'll call him Andrew. He's working as an associate at Booz Allen Hamilton, but he's in sort of an unusual job as an associate at Booz. He's involved in strategic communications and not, straightforward kind of consulting. And he's got a really big array of schools: UVA, Georgetown, Kellogg, Duke, and UNC. 3.1 GPA in international affairs from James Madison, and a 320 GRE that he intends to retake. Sandy, what do you think?
John, you have to add that Andrew is 32 years old.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting situation.
So, Andrew, we had a little pre-talk with Andrew, and he's an expert on how to apply as an older student. So we're going to look to him for advice. Andrew, you're 32 years old. You're working at Booz Allen. Just tell everybody what Booz Allen is, will you?
Yeah, so we are a management consulting and technology company. Our bread and butter is doing work with the government, a lot of stuff with the Pentagon. So that's what I do. So we are similar to the Deloitte and PwCs of the world, but we are much more government focused firm.
So you're 32 years old. You're working at Booz Allen. Why do you want an MBA? What job would you want after?
Yeah, so looking at my resume, so before I came to Booz Allen, I was doing strategic communications at the Pentagon, and then I joined Booz Allen about a year ago, and kind of working as a communications lead on a more management consulting project. I would say that working at Booz Allen has kind of been a transformational experience for me because I've been able to kind of see the senior leaders in our company. And
let me press you on this.
Yeah.
At age 32, with what seems like a good job, why are you getting an MBA in the first place?
Because I have a narrow.
What do you do after that?
Yeah, I want to work in leadership.
When you're 35 and a freshly minted MBA, what job do you want? This is important.
Yes, I want to be working in management consulting. I want to work as a project lead in a more leadership position. I want to be using change management and communications as my base skill set. And just kind of looking at other people in my firm who do have MBAs, I think that I need to have an MBA to get to the next level at a big consulting firm. Or else I will be in a narrow silo of working communications the rest of my life.
Okay, so I get it now. So this is almost necessary, even if it's big.
Yes.
Okay, now, so you figured this out. You're 32 years old. I've got your GRE score here of 160 and 160.
Yes.
That's a 640, 650 GMAT equivalent. So the 160 is sort of in the average range for schools like Darden. I believe that their GRE average maybe 161 or something. But with that said, what did they tell you?
They said that if my score was not good enough that I'm submitting to them, that they could waitlist me and ask me to take the test again while I'm on the wait list. So I could.
Wow. Well, that's an insight. You ever hear of that, John?
Oh yeah, that happens.
What other tips did the directors give you that you've spoken?
It was just highlight my leadership work the leadership work, not only that I do on my contract as a comms lead, but also my LGBT leadership work. If I feel that I'm weak in quant, they suggested the Coursera course and kind of networking with alumni. So I've reached out to their head of pride at Darden, spoke with him. I reached out to former alumni within my company as well.
Okay, so the moral of the story is if you're applying to business school and you're older and you've got things to explain, the answer is hustle. You got to hustle. And how hard is it to get to speak to these admissions directors?
I wouldn't say that it's hard to speak to admissions people. Sometimes it can be hard to reach out to alumni. I've been lucky where I work for.
Let's deal with the admissions people. How did you reach out to them? Did you meet them at forums or?
Yeah, so I went on.
In other words, what advice would you give someone who's like you?
So I thought, what are my strengths and what am I going to become involved with when I go to these schools? And for me, I want to be involved in diversity, inclusion, and LGBT efforts. So then I went to the website of every single business school I wanted to go to, found their head of their Pride or LGBT forum, emailed that person, and spoke with each and every one of them on the phone or met with them in person while I went to go visit that school.
Okay, that's a good lane for people who LGBT. What did you do? How hard is it just to get an appointment to speak to somebody at Darden?
I didn't. So for me, I went to one of their like showcase events. So they had a big event there where there was about 40 or 50 students or 40 and 50 people coming to visit the school. And they gave you the option to sit down with an admissions person for 10 minutes before the event started. And that was like super helpful. I wouldn't have applied to Darden until September unless I had that conversation with them.
Okay, so that's good tip for Darden.
Totally.
Thank you, Darden, for doing that, and a good tip for applicants.
Yeah.
Was there any other? I'm just trying to get suggestions here for other applicants. Is there any other thing you did?
Oh gosh.
Go to those. Yeah. What else? How did you meet? What was your outreach program?
I've done tons and tons of research. So I've kind of went on your guys' website, Poets&Quants, and then I went on to, another website that's kind of off of yours. I forget what it's called, but you guys had tons of different guides about applying and background guides for like Tuck and UVA. I forget the name of the
insider
website.
guides, yeah.
Insider guides. So I read all those insider guides for all the schools I wanted to go to. I like created a huge spreadsheet of like everyone I've spoke to at every single school. Every hour I've like studied for the GRE every day.
Wow.
I'm
impressed.
I'm short, like I said, I'm short on time, and I'm also like, I've worked in consulting for 4 years. So immediately you go to making a spreadsheet.
Okay, that's all great work, and it's leading to success. I want to press you on helping other people like you.
Yeah, so I just think I would find your weaknesses, and mine was my age. And my GPA is a weakness.
That's part of the don't A. Older people like you are older already.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think I was older until I came into this process.
All right.
Right.
Let me ask you again here. Yeah. What advice would you give to how to make contact at the schools for the admissions people, not the alumni? How hard is it? How hard is it for any 30-year-old to speak to an admissions officer at Tuck?
I don't find it difficult at all. I think once you go to visit the school in person, they make their admissions people available for you to speak to. If you're going to make the effort to fly up to New Hampshire, if you're going to make the effort to drive.
What do you do before you fly up there? Do you let them know this is a how-to guide to visit?
Yeah. So when I've met with admission staff, like in the case of UVA, they kind of gave you, or when I went to Georgetown and did a tour, they made their admission staff available for you to speak to them. So
this is a tour for any Joe Blow on the tour?
Yes. If you made the effort to go to UVA, they would let you meet with an admission staff member and answer any questions that you had.
And let me just throw in here, 4 of the 6 schools that you are applying to have one form or another of an open interview process.
Correct. That's what I went to Tuck to do.
So if you go early, you can get an open interview without them having to make the cut at UVA, at Duke, and of course Tuck. In fact, you don't even have to go early at Tuck. And in Kellogg, they want to interview everybody regardless. Yeah. So that's a real advantage, because if you're articulate, presentable, you look the part, and you show that you're earnest about the process, and you have a good explanation for why you want the MBA. That gives you a heads up.
Yeah, and
right.
I was just going to say too,
if you're older, hustle.
Yeah.
But you knew how to hustle. That was you really covered the waterfront.
Yeah, and I also made the pitch. It's like, thanks. And I was told, but when I reached out to alumni, especially when I went to Tuck, I spoke to someone in my company that went to Tuck, and she said they're going to flat out ask you, why now? Why did you wait this long to get an MBA?
Sure.
So I had to really think about that question. And for me, it was, I switched careers when I was 27. I worked on the Hill and I worked in lobbying, and then I switched into consulting. And then it was kind of from working in consulting that I knew that I needed this degree to get to the next
Andrew,
level.
has anybody ever mentioned the EMBA for that? Just
So they, like, that was another question I got. So when I went to go visit these schools, they're like, or especially Darden, they're like, well, have you thought about an EMBA? And it was definitely maybe further down the road that was something I would think of, but I really wanted that fully immersive MBA experience. And that's why I'm looking at these kind of schools like Tuck and Darden. I've lived in DC for 8 years, and I wanted to go to a school where I'm in a college town, college campus, fully immersive with your classmates and professors and all of that. So that's why I have been looking at going to a 2-year instead of doing an EMBA.
Okay, that's great. You've been very helpful to our viewers. And we're going to use you as the expert for how to apply if you're over 30. We're going to use you as the expert for that.
Okay.
I want to say something else about Andrew as well. He's the perfect person for an MBA, and admissions directors would get that, despite the age or despite some of the numbers here. Here's why. You were in lobbying, you were an executive assistant to a senator, you were in communications, but you have no know-how whatsoever on accounting, on finance, on statistics, on operations and marketing, on strategy, business strategy, that is.
Exactly.
So they know that they can really help you, okay? Because what they have is what you need to pursue a career in management consulting. So you are perfect for them, really, okay? And the question is how bad you want it, and clearly you've done your homework and you want it bad. So you are ideal. And I think you're right to go for a 2-year immersive experience. This is an investment you're making in yourself. It's the biggest investment you'll ever make other than buying a home. And it should be a big deal, and a 2-year MBA program is a big deal.
Good advice, John.
So Sandy, what are Andrew's odds at UVA Darden, where he's clearly had a good reception?
I think his odds at Darden are pretty good. Either this third round or next year. They seem to like him, and but the thing about Andrew is he's made his own odds. That's the lesson.
Yeah, that's the whole lesson of this.
This guy is created as favorable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Andrew, good luck to you. Sandy's high on your getting into Darden and probably a few of these other schools. If you can go right now, go right now. Don't even wait another year. Make it happen. And if Darden can do that for you, I think that's ideal. Okay. And for all of you out there, good luck on your MBA journey. Thanks for watching.